my Lord, down and take a look at me. Come on, baby, don't say baby. I gotta know you're sweet, but it's on the same thing. But we will never be here again. So get up my finding in. So take it easy. So we got a world of a long time. Oh, my lover, it's so fine. Take it easy. Take it easy. Don't let the sound of your own feet make it crazy. Don't say I gotta know you're sweet love. It's gonna save me. Gotta take it easy. Lips, sparks fly from your fingertips. Like gold pulses in the night. She's a restless spirit in endless light. In the night, fire light. Raise your laugh in another room.
Hello, hello, everybody. Let me get Amy set up here. Think we're good.
Got it.
Wait, excellent. How are you tonight?
Good. How was convention?
It was pretty good. We were my kid was so close. We ended up like at or because Rachel was doing a lot of the convention.
Yeah.
So I had to take on the wonderful dad moment and go do some Ann Arbor shopping and explore. So a lot of it, I missed a lot. I missed a lot of it. Met some cool contacts in there. For those that, well, Amy knows I'm crazy with a lot of stuff that I've always wanted to do, but we're gonna have this like an online store soon, and I got to make some great contacts that way. So that was really cool. Guess what? We got to. Oh, I wonder if I can get it. Oh man, do you watch TLC, Amy?
No,
you-
I don't really watch
Yes.
much TV.
All right. You ever hear of Dr. Pimple Popper, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So we met. Oh God, this is not going to work.
Put it in front of your face.
Maybe. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Matt and I. That is the chiropractor. Oh crap. Okay. That is the chiropractor. Her name. Oh man, now you're gonna. I don't know her name. I forgot, but she is on the TV show Crack Addicts, which is the same kind of concept as that Dr. Pimple Popper.
Yeah.
It's chiropractors, right? So because of like Instagram and all those different ones having a lot of chiropractic, the noises and all those kind of things, and getting a ton of views based on that. So she's been going a year. So she's a small chiropractor in Florida, but she's real big into social media. So she starts putting stuff online and just different exercises, kind of, like different things. And somebody calls her one day and says, we want to do a show. So her entire show, I don't know what time it is, but it's on TLC right now. It's basically of the life of a chiropractor going through. So it's pretty sweet. Like we were all nervous on like what this is going to look like. Like, are you just going to be like beating people and getting like things like that? But
yeah.
Found out later, it's been fantastic. And like, the thing that, either scares people or brings them in is the noise, right, of the system. And it's okay either way. I thought at first I was, like when we heard that and all the YouTube thing was happening where people were coming in to see how much noise, and then they had to understand, hey, listen, they're putting a microphone like next to it. It's not like the whole thing. You don't hear it down, right? Like that's not a thing. You in your neck, you might hear it a little louder because it's near your ears or whatever. But I mean, there are times where when you move stuff, it moves, those kind of things. But all of us chiropractors were super nervous about her doing it, and she's done great. It's taking care of people when they crawl in, to the point where that's a mainstream thing. So you got to understand one thing about holistic and why we're doing this 1% tribe. Chiropractors in general, we're probably the most accepted holistic thing out there. Okay. If we are the most accepted holistic thing out there, and we're only seeing 8% of the population in the United States, okay, and we're a pretty decently educated on these type of topics, and we're only seeing 8% of the population. So you got to think of how big that number actually should be, as like what our dream is that people would use chiropractic like that personal improvement that we always want, right? So that's something just in retrospect, when you look at it, you're going, holy crap, we have like not touched the population. So when she went on, she literally, this is how we're kind of stuck in that like TV MK Ultra thing. Like, such a good thing. Just thinking holistically currently. I'm not promoting anything, but stop watching that thing. Dear Lord. It's like when you hear what I'm about to say to you, we as a society have a major problem because we watch that thing more than anything because her like 6 months in, she said she had 15,000 people try to get into her office. Like she sees like what we do on Monday for the
Wow.
week, right? So she's not set up for any of that, right? She doesn't want to. She wants to keep doing what she's doing. And with a show, I'm sure she sees even less, honestly, because you'd have to like set all that up and those kind of
Yeah.
things. So she's not like this. She wasn't going for the amount of people, but to have that many people reach out is insane on a TV show, right?
Yeah.
You literally have it in your backyard almost everywhere you go. You could experience that,
Yeah.
so that is a tough thing. Like as you look, you hope that some of the stuff that we're going to do on everything else will start to turn people's corners, like where they start going, hey, maybe I do have to take care of myself. So think about that. If we're the number one holistic, probably accepted thing that people really do, what does that mean about like holistic living, like herbal training, acupuncture, like list goes on, right? And so that's the number one thing I wanted to go through. That was pretty cool. Me and Matt got to do a little groupie action again.
Cool.
So we have two really good. That lady now, she was the famous one. And then we had Dr. Heidi Havoc, who I'm hoping, that's another one I'm going to reach out to.
Yeah.
Neuroscientist from New Zealand would have to do a whole different like time frame.
Yeah.
Because
Probably.
that's a little nuts there. But she might be willing to do it after we got to meet her. She is amazing. So
Yeah.
you can kind of go that way. But so tonight will be very interesting. I'll go through my little ones, my little research that we did. But yeah, so we had our chiropractic convention this weekend, which was really good. It always is good. Amy got to go to the Detroit one last year, I think.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one, each one they bring in really good speakers and fantastic, a lot of nutrition, a lot of like the stuff you got to do as a doctor, all the boring, those classes of documenting and all that stuff. So that was the tough part. But so anyway, so this is what I found. If you want to decrease your chance of dementia, especially in women, ready? This is so interesting. 50% decrease in chances of dementia if you have, as you age, you do some kind of cardio exercise.
Wow.
50% reduction. So that's huge. 40% increase if you don't do it. So that is even worse, right? So,
Wow.
so that is like, and I have the patient, I could tell her she'll probably be on one of these at some point. I think she's 83. I swear to God, she's 72. She works out 4 days a week.
Nice.
She had her husband. That's when I got nervous for her. Was her husband is a very big, strong man, but he ended up getting dementia, and so he had passed away last year. And I was worried for her because it was one of those where they were both just sweet people, but that dementia took a major toll on her. And then she got through it. She like punched through, got back to her workout sessions, and going through all that. But the toll that took on her body, like doing that kind of thing, and having a physically able person. So that's what I've learned in chiropractic for years now. Sometimes it's really hard, especially for my I'll call them my grandmas, my ladies that have these long, let's say they've been married 50 years or they have an older spouse and then they end up going into this dementia or Parkinson's or things that kind of reverse course where let's say the husband or the other loved one was the one that did a lot of the, let's say, physical stuff around the house. And all of a sudden now that one person's taking care of the house, doing all their stuff that they used to do. And now they have entire process, going into it. And the mother spirit, the mother heart, the mother consciousness they're going to take care of them. I tell this story all the time. Second year in practice, I see a lady, she's 86. Her husband is 6'6", and they've been together 50 years. And then he goes through where he can't walk anymore. So, back and forth she goes, and then they get into the nursing home stuff and care at home, those kind of things. But the thing that I remember, because I was so young, it was the first time I told myself I'm going to yell at her, so I had her come in. She has sciatic nerve so bad, she shouldn't have been doing anything. And she'd come in, tears down her face, and say, adjust me. And I was like, of course, but you have to stop. You have to get some help. She's like, we could have this conversation later once my husband is taken care of. So there was no chance I was getting her to do anything but that. And so that was a tough thing, because it was like, I got 8 minutes or because she had to get back to her house to take care of her husband, because she was worried if she wasn't there, and so those are real world challenges, as we do these little 1%. One reason I like this way is because if I said simply work out 2 hours a day, no problem. We go through it like, oh yeah, just live like the Biggest Loser. Get a chef, Don't have any kids at home. Just we're gonna put you in this house. It's gonna be like 3 months. You don't have anything to worry about. You got a personal trainer. It's fine. Just it's great advice. That's what I hear all the time. Like, that's what the advice they get. And it's like, you can't, it's not real. Like, you can't really do that. So a lot of times the reality of the real is the only way you can do this and do it in an effective way and feel good about it, I think, is those patterns every day, right? So adding those little pieces, 1% of 100% of a day, can really make the difference. So, here's a good one. So this is crazy. Former smokers, listen up. Okay, ready? You can improve your lung function by 2 foods in your diet. This is not going to hurt your heart at all. Apples, tomatoes. Isn't that crazy? So that was a new study that came out. Said it actually helped improve lung function in former smokers the most.
Wow.
That's kind of cool. So a lot of people don't realize if you smoke, you can reverse all of it. All of it. So your cells regenerate. You can do a lot of those things. Takes a lot more than they think, as far as that goes. It's not like, okay, I stopped smoking, I can just do nothing, and then they all come back as really good cells. That's not really what you got to do. You got to start almost like a new lifestyle that way. So that's the other one. And then I got one other. They're called phytosterols. So these are found in oranges, Brussels sprouts, pomegranate, celery, broccoli, onions, tangerines, mangoes, cauliflower, romaine lettuce, peas. Okay. So those are phytosterols. Those are the richest ones. And what did it do? I just saw it. Okay. Oh, this one was cool. Those phytosterols help with not allowing you, maybe help with hearing. So that's kind of cool. So you can actually help your hearing out because of the nerve endings and everything else in there. That's the study they were doing. So the chemical, pretty much every plant has phytosterols. So, going into, let's say your hearing's a little suspect, maybe adding more plants to your diet, might not be a bad idea. I could think of somebody directly as a patient that I'm going to use this on in the next week, because remember, we're going to always talk about, like, I love high fat, high protein diets. That's for sure. sometimes you got to switch that up, and it doesn't have to be a forever thing. It's just a way of eating, maybe for that week or a run of those. Like Amy knows that from a few different things, because remember, it's hard to be allergic to fat or meat, right? So sometimes when you do that ketogenic diet, you don't have to do it per se for a long time. But if you're like suspecting food allergies or something, and you're starting to go down this giant rabbit hole where you're about to not be able to eat anything for the rest of your life, maybe come talk to us, because that's not the case. But at the same time, that's something you could try for a few days and see how you feel. So those are all those. That was good. How was your weekend?
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Like
That's
it.
good.
I know. It was fun. It was a kind of a banger one. It was so quick that way.
Yeah.
It felt like, so tonight is going to be interesting, because we're going to kind of, it's not really scripted like my normal stuff. But I do have, what I want to talk about is something that I notice a lot. I think we can all do it together as a 1% tribe thing. Especially, I know the people that are on here a lot of times, and when I hear it, I'll know. But I want to talk about the power of the words that we speak. Okay. So a lot of times those powerful words are part of your consciousness. Plus, like as we reach out into this energy world, we're going to talk about the biofield soon. And the biofield is something that we all need to be familiar with. So the biofield, people understand it as, maybe a lot of people think of the chakras when I talk about biofield, but this really isn't that. It's your actual like biofield that surrounds your entire body. It encompasses some of these like chakra points, right? We have 7 chakras within our body. And I'm going to say I'm not the perfect expert on the different chakras and like explaining those type of things. But I do really, really, with all things energy, the biofield stuff is my kind of the new stuff I want to get studied. Because what you'll notice, we at the office, we do a nutritional testing. And one of the things that is really important about that nutritional testing, and Amy's getting pieces of that currently, and she's getting better and better at it. You ran Amy through, or Rachel through Psyche, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. She was pumped. Yep. She was like, that is really good,
Yeah. And that was just a snippet, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. So for those that don't know, Amy is training and trained in a stuff that we're going to talk about a lot tonight, but it's about fixing your subconscious program, and that's what we're going to go in with our words as well. But the subconscious, well, let's go into the biofield. So the biofield is essentially what, from everything that I know, is another organ. Okay. So we have to think of it that way. This is not some pie in the sky idea. I'm going to show you one. I'm going to try to find it. But the biofield essentially is something that we have to pay attention to all the time. And so with that, I'm going to show you something that'll show you. And I think Amy and I have done this. Yep. Okay. We've done this before, but we'll just use this quick one. I will share my screen real quick. We'll do it. Okay, share screen. Okay. All right. So we're going to do this real quick.
The idea for the system that we kind of came up with is a funny robot interaction. It came up with me and a colleague of mine who was wandering through a model. We saw a robot and he started talking about the cognitive science stuff we do. And I do robotic stuff. So, hey, it'd be cool if we kind of connect them together. And we went back to the lab, tried it out. after multiple trials it worked, and we kind of just took it from there. The system works like this. We mount a device on your head called a brain-computer interface, okay? And your brain, when you're thinking about things, produces these electrical signals. Imagine it like brainstorms, okay? We're collecting those brainstorms and patterns that are firing off from your neurons in your brain and kind of figuring out what are you thinking based off that information.
If you think going forward and the robot would move forward, if you want to move to the right or to the left, or move to the left or right. UF is one of the few schools in pretty much in the country working on this area and thinking, how can we use robots outside the lab, using our brains so we can help us do things in our real world tasks.
We're really looking at it from a different perspective. We're looking at it from an overall perspective, from a user-centered perspective, whereas a lot of other researchers are looking at it from a technology-centered perspective, just saying, okay, this is something cool they can do, but we're looking at it from a much larger picture. We're looking at it starting with the person and their experience.
Some people might not like the fact of having robots at home, especially controlling with their brains. It's not something that people are used to actually do all the time. So we'll face a lot of controversy in the beginning, but that's one part of the challenges as a researcher. How can we make people comfortable using this technology out there?
I think this research is important for the University of Florida because we kind of, it's anything that's leading, breaking edge technology, which we kind of consider this as being very young, it's countless opportunities that's possible. You know, if you know, we have a great breakthrough, then you'll put the University of Florida stamp on it. So I think it's very important to do this type of novel research to push forward. That's what we're here for.
All right. So I wanted to show you that. Amy, me and you've done that one before. Like not that video, but right.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So what that is showing you is, if you noticed, all he was putting on a tracker. He was putting on a bio sensors around his brain. And that was what was running that, right or left. He was running a drone based on that. So that tells you a lot. Okay. It tells you a lot of like the things that we need to discover. Okay. So not only so I'm going to go back to the nutritional testing stuff we do. We use this thing called muscle testing, where the muscle test kind of, if everything goes well, you have a reaction. So you have a weakness or a strength, right? So you go through those processes throughout the body. Once you do that, you are actually testing. For Amy, it's about the mental electrical signals that are going off. And so when she does it, she's like testing the electrical, what you're thinking about at that moment in time. That causes that weakness or strength based on a few questions you're asked and as you're starting to think. Mine is actually like an acupuncture. Points are where we go. So it's around the biofields that are within, your organ systems throughout. So it has worked over many, many times. It's a great, easy way to start getting control of your health. I'm doing it more and more at the office. I think it's based on having an Amy, like adding this to not just the chiropractic, and chiropractic is basically recalibrating your entire biofield. It's not about just alignment, right? So we're trying to align everything because all these electrical impulses, if they're electrical, they give off stuff, right? So there's a reason you can't touch a wire, right? You can't have a kid grab a thing, or why you can get really close if you took a fork and you didn't want to do any of that because it's energy. Okay. So we have to come to that grip that it's actually energy. So that's why the power of words tonight is a very big, easy way to kind of starting controlling your biofield and your energy as we go. Okay. Because there's a lot of stuff that gets thrown at that biofield, more than you would possibly imagine. So computer screens to negative information to right now, oh my God, I don't even understand how you would watch the news, right? Because there's just so much crazy, which is intentional. Just to let you know that. So it's completely intentional to get you confused and not working on you, right? And that's what my entire, mission on this Sunday night stuff will be about, right? So it is about giving us that power, understanding what these biofields mean to you and how we can change it. So with that said, I want to go through a couple things, like I'll give you an example. So when we hear when a patient comes in and they start describing their pain, okay, one of the things I learned very early was, I'm going to say, somebody comes in and their neck hurts. Let's use that. So my neck hurts, and they come in, they mean nothing by what they're going to say here, but they say to me, man, doc, my neck over on this side, it's killing me. And so it immediately now, because I understand the power of these things, starts me down a different path. Now that sounds very minor, right? Oh, this is killing me over here. That you don't mean it, you don't think, but you just said it, right? So you put it in your biofield that pain is killing you, like literally causing you way more than just a sprained neck from a whiplash. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Okay.
Yeah.
So as we go, you're going to hear these things, and it's all about the pattern. It's all about this repetition pattern, the thought pattern that comes. Amy knows this. Monday, a lot of people have a lot of problems with Mondays. A lot of people, like, they feel that they come in on a Monday morning because they got to go to work at that point. And that thing triggers all kinds of programming problems, right? So we don't like work. A lot of people don't. Why? Because maybe they watch their parents come home and go, oh, another Monday at the office. Another two, and what happens on Friday? That's what's so crazy. There is no difference. If I switched them all and mixed up all the days and said, Friday is now the Monday, watch, you'd see all this different energy, complete different energy, and it's just a different day. Like, think about that. Like, if in your own life right now, go in tomorrow, feel what that feels like, and then compare it to your Friday. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Just that little piece, and so that's where the power of words can come in, because we can start like kind of reversing that stuff or getting on that, like that's where maybe finding somebody at work that says, listen, I'm doing this thing with 1% tribe. I'm trying some things. So what I want you to do is on Monday morning, I'm going to text you tomorrow night. I'm going to, okay, Monday morning, we're going to act like it's Friday all day. All day. We're going to try it. It'll be like TGIM, whatever. Right. So you're like, thank goodness it's there, and I, so many, we have a lot of people that work at the office, and I can feel it, like as soon as you walk in, you have this energy that comes because of people's patterning. It has nothing to do with that person. There's nothing to do with it. They learned it. You got to remember there's a subconscious program that's stopping them. So I never had that. So that's my subconscious program was my mother, who was super passionate about what she did.
Yep.
Like, I don't think there was a day that I had ever seen her go, I got a funny joke for you, since it's unscripted tonight. So the only time that I've ever seen was conferences, right? She was a sixth grade teacher for about 30 plus, and then a few years at seventh grade. But when I was a kid, it was like fifth, sixth grade. I'd always like sneak drinks of her pop like all the time. She'd leave her cup there. I'd just drink it, right? That's what boys do. They just drink other people's stuff. So we go in, and then conference week. So conference week was always awesome because mom wasn't home till late. And so dad would go get like the scary movies. And so we'd scare the crap out of my youngest brother. Probably caused him all kinds of issues later.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? However, we were like, oh, the big, I just remember Predator. Oh, that was such a good, we were so pumped. Dad was like immediately to the store. We're like, mom's in conferences. She'd never let us watch this. Like, no, we're watching the Predator. But on the conference night on Friday, because they're, a teacher in conference week, they get home at like 9 o'clock at night, or, those kind of things, and then have to go teach the next day, so it's very, very troubling for them. But then on the Friday night, I grabbed her pop, and I'm like, Ma, this doesn't taste like pop. Something's wrong with your pop. It was not exactly pop. So she freaked out. It was the funniest day of my life. I'm like, why are you freaking out? You just had bad pop. I wouldn't drink it anymore, because it wasn't exactly pop. That was probably the only time I've ever seen her do that. But for me, the program was different. It was always different. And a lot of people didn't have passionate. My dad had no issues with, he just was able to, he didn't love his job as much as my mother, right? But at the same time, you never saw him bring it home, in that sense. So a lot of those patterns I didn't have. So when I came into a work environment with others that may have had that, they would come in, and if, they were just already defeated. And I'm like, this is the beginning of the year work week. That's awesome. That kind of thing. So think of those things in terms of like what the words you're using. So another one, Mike Dooley taught me. He said he went to a date. This is one of my favorites. If you ever get his series, you have to get his like CD series. Oh, it's so funny. So he goes in and he's telling how he's going to go on this date, right? So he's going on this date, and he's nervous because first time he's ever like gone on like this blind date type situation, right? So he's in this blind date, and he always really loved his uncle from England. He had this like English accent, but when his uncle was visiting, every hour the guy was like yawning and saying he's tired. So Mike immediately gets nervous at this, doesn't know what to say, and just starts yawning. This is like 10 years later, right? At this date, he starts yawning and saying how tired he is. Yawning and saying how tired he is. So the date kind of ends, and the lady's like, well, I just need a more energetic person. He's like, wait, I'm energetic. Well, you're tired all the time. He said it like 8 times during the thing, right? So I always thought that was so funny, because it is the words he was using, but it was just his pattern. He didn't even know he was saying it half the time, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times that happens. Rachel won't mind me saying this, but she'll say it. She'll be like, I'm just exhausted, right? And I said, stop it. Don't say that. Say something else, right? Ugh. Like it's hard to break those. So then you don't like people saying those things, right? Because it breaks the pattern. And so that pattern is hard to interrupt, especially if you attack it like that. So my approach is probably not the best way to do it, but I just say, stop doing it. Right. So I don't have as much energy as I did a little bit ago. Okay, that's fine. That's different than exhausted, right?
Yep.
So the other thing I wanted to teach tonight was a man that I absolutely adore. He was a psychologist that I've taken care of for a long, long time. We went through some of his stuff, and this is the key to tonight. Basically, we'll probably be a little early tonight, possibly, but the key to tonight is what he taught me. So he was a psychologist that started a very big company in our town. It was called Behavioral Health Resources. He was the original guy. And so he discovered chiropractic kind of late in life and really enjoyed it, actually. So one of the things that I learned that I was so fascinated with was, I said, what would be good is if we had like if people were up for it. They're not there yet. And that's kind of why we kind of got Amy trained for this. But if I could teach people to get out of their pain pattern. And he goes, that's interesting you say that, because for a long time he would have what they call chronic pain psychology. So the chronic pain psychology, he'd bring a person in, and as they're walking through, he would say, okay, what's going on? Well, I've had this chronic back pain for 35 years. Nothing seems to help, right? So what I just said, so chronic back pain for 35 years, nothing seems to help. Okay. So those are words that we have to like kind of morph into something different. Right. So first thing he always goes, please, we're not going to use the word pain anymore, not in our session. So you're going to have to find something for that trigger. So you're going to have to say my chronic back issue, my chronic back situation, right? So he would start there. You cannot say that. You can't say it. So he'd say in our office, you can't say pain. So sets up the patient. You know, of course, they're going to say it once in a while, but once he got them into that, they're like, nope, you can't say that, right? So he took away the chronic situation. So he's like, my chronic back situation, nothing ever helps, right? So then he goes, so let's fix out chronic. So he's like, my long-term low back situation, nothing ever helps it. Right. So they're okay, that's cool. So we've gotten pretty far. So then he goes, my long-term back situation that I haven't found the solution for. Right. Whoa. Changes some shit, right? Changes some stuff.
You said unscripted.
It changes some stuff right there. Right.
Yeah.
That gives me chills just even thinking about it, because that is kind of the goal of having a chiropractor, having a holistic anything, right?
Yeah.
Amy sees it, we see it. And once you're able to kind of go through that process of like, okay, I've had this a while, maybe it's the way I'm approaching it that it's there, right? And I see it constantly. It's such a cool thing of watching people morph, and especially because some people, if I get lucky, if I get real, what? That's a chronic pain of some sort. Oh, that's terrible. How's Tucker doing?
Do something. A
Yeah.
little rough, but
Yeah. Well, if you guys need any landscaping stuff, we're getting streamed right now live, brother. You're gonna be. This is probably the most social media that boy's ever had to the like right now.
Probably.
That's right. It's good seeing you, man. But if you need a landscaping job, that little stinker, he's not exactly little anymore, and he knows what he's doing. And I can't wait. So we're going to have a conference out here with really cool stuff, and where I had him work is going to be phenomenal. So with a little campfire area, it's going to be neat. But so that's basically like, as we go, I wanted to get through. I wanted to show you guys. So that was where's it at? All right. So most people, if you think in your head, you almost have to think and almost have a helper, like somebody that hangs out with you quite a bit, right? And ask them straight up, like, what is some of the negative things that I say? Or, like, what do you notice all the time that you're like, man, she says that all the time? Or, or he says that all the time. Those are things to kind of ask. They're harder challenges, because you don't want to get mad at the person when they say it. But at the same time, it's a good learning thing, right? So some people are going to be afraid to tell you. It depends on your reaction, right? So I don't know if I'd ever say, Ma, you say this a lot, right? Or Rachel.
Well, if you're
Right?
hanging around the right people that are right for you, it won't matter.
True story. And that's the biggest thing, is a growth opportunity. It really, really is. This one is very important, though. It's very important. I'll give you another little thing. So when I used to go to the grocery store, because we see a lot of people, so go to the grocery store, and I would say, but I never thought of it this way, but I would say, how you doing? So I'd go see Amy passing me, and I'd say, how you doing? Okay. Amy would say, good. And then we'd bolt, right? But sometimes, being a doctor, I would get, hey, how you doing? Well, let me tell you, doc, because the doc thing. That's why I make people call me Jeremy all the time too, because that is a big stopper for some people. We got to find those psychological triggers. If you say doc, right, all of a sudden you think you have to be hurting to just talk to me, right? And it didn't help that I was asking you how you were doing in the middle of a grocery store. So I would have, like 10, 20 minutes of a conversation with the person. They're not bugging me. It was just the wrong question, right? So what I like now I say good to see you, right? Because that good to see you helps them not feel like they have to like guilt about not seeing me, or like chiropractic. Sometimes somebody be, oh, I haven't been there in a long time, I got to get back, that kind of thing. Or it can be like my other buddy, dang it, I saw you. I go, what does that mean? He's like, now I got to come in. Like, you can do that too. That always makes me laugh. But those kind of things, it's those patterns, it's those small little things you're telling yourself every day, right? And it's going to take some coaching. It's going to take some coaching on your part as far as like writing down what you think you say, right? Because tomorrow you're going to go into an office, or you're going to go into school, and something's going to be in there, and you're going to go, how do you respond to that? And like, how do you feel? Right? Because that's what we got to get to at that point. So I think, let me see if I got anything else. Amy, you got anything?
Yeah. Interestingly enough, in church today, the pastor was talking about healthy thoughts and positive thoughts, and it was more directed towards like, how many thoughts do you have in a day where you're thinking sinful thoughts? Okay. But the way that he talked about it, I was in my head cracking up, because he said that there was 2 colleges that did a big study. And I want to say he said like the average person has 70,000 thoughts in a week. Okay. So that equals out to 10,000 thoughts a day, 416 thoughts an hour. And so how many of those thoughts are negative? Do you like, have you ever even paid attention to that? So he said he sat like one day, like really paying attention to that. And he was talking to one kid, but he could hear his wife and his other kid talking in the background. The TV was on in the other room. And like he heard the phone ring or something. But then, so like he's having this conversation, but he's also thinking about all those other things. And so we have those thoughts, but it's also the Monday thing, having that thought in your head. I know somebody who used to, the day before on Sunday, starting midday, would just be a huge Debbie Downer because he had to go to work the next day. And it was a whole thing. Like, you didn't want to be around him, talk to him, or whatever because of that. And part of it is a learned thing for sure, from sometimes, the way that you grew up and whatever your parents did. And if that's all they did was complain and just hated life. But 2 is, if you are not passionate, like you were saying, talking about your mom, I can totally picture your mom just being thrilled to go to work every day because she was that kind of person.
Yep.
But there are some people that dread their job. They're doing it just because they feel like they have to. They have no purpose. They have no idea what their purpose is. They started working in, like, factory is a big one, and you get good benefits. You can support your family, but you're working 7 days a week, So it does matter too, like what you do. But even if you can't leave your job, even if you can't change your circumstances, you can still change your thoughts, and you can still find ways to be, to find gratitude, to find joy in what you're doing. And the other thing he was talking about too is, instead of waking up and just having a pity party for yourself, and it makes it all about you, you should be turning that around. And what can I do for someone today? Whether maybe it's not anything that has to do with your job, but maybe it's somebody that you meet along the way. But what can you do for that person today? What can I do for somebody else today? And turn it around so that you're looking for something nice to do for somebody else. And then once you kind of get to that place and that feels good, then that will trigger more happy thoughts. But if you sit and think, like, pay attention to what you're thinking, even just in your head, like if you're a doctor, chiropractor, whatever, and you deal with patients every day, or customers or whatever, and see, I just said deal with, when you're helping them every day. But sometimes, those people that come in and, they're never going to get better because they have that negative. And so you have to get your mind right to deal with those type of people too, and not be like, oh, I don't want to see this person today, because you already know what's coming.
Yep.
So it's just such a huge circle.
Yeah, it is. And that's one of the things that's every profession. That's one number one reason. I'll tell you, guess number one most depressed healthcare, guess what it is? This is kind of interesting.
Depressed healthcare?
The one that has the most people that have depression.
Ooh.
Dentistry.
Oh, okay. Industry.
Dentistry. Yeah. So the dentist industry, because no one wants to go there. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what they have to do, and it's because there's not a lot of happy kids walking in the door to a dang dentist with a drill in their hand, right?
Right.
And so how do they do that, right? And so that is part of the magic. So that's part of who we are as people, right? So, if you could look at the different stories, we've been kind of told in the biblical sense, like what to do in that spot, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it, but Jesus went to the person that was cleaning his shoes, and she was a prostitute, and there's a lot of energy exchange in there. Didn't bother him, right?
Yep.
Because he had a purpose, he had a mission,
Yep.
planet, right? And that is kind of what we got to go into, right? We have a mission on this planet, whether it's a factory, whether it's all those things. Lot of different circumstances make that brain thought pattern a lot harder than some other ones, right? So, one of the guys I love to death, so don't get me wrong, a lot of these teachers will go and be like, well, I'm just done with life and I live in a van and I fly all over the place. That's fantastic. But we as a community need more than that. We always have, right? And so we have to have those callings that we're going to help those people that are in, because we know all it is stuck in a pattern. We're not there yet as a society, understanding all the different patterns. This is not something that's figured out, right? It's not. If there was, we wouldn't have. If it was, we wouldn't have like the most depression beds in every country combined. How is it possible that the richest country in the world has the most depression beds in the world, right? Prescribed to their people. Why? Because our passions, our purposes, we're not allowed to focus on those very much, right? We have to do these certain things. That's where I want it to change. Or, like as we go, the love of giving to others, right? And so those things are so tough sometimes, and it's in every single profession, and as you look, you're going, uh-oh, here comes Jeremy again, like that, like as you go, hopefully we'll start energizing people. What I want to hear from all my 1% people is, man, every time I'm around you, that's the best energy ever, right? Like, I just love seeing you. You're weird. I love the best compliment I usually get that I am so weird, because they're like, dude, it is Monday at 7 a.m. and you are already ready to go. Like, does anything bug you? I go, not really. I go, and if it did, I forgot about it. So that's how sometimes having that bad dementia thing might work out. Like you got to think. I know Amy knows this. I get in trouble all the time. Patients will tell me like, "Oh, I'm pregnant. Don't tell anybody." Right? I'll forget. So we'll adjust. Baby's coming. Patient's like, Jeremy didn't tell you? Which is so funny, because like a few months later, you said, don't tell anybody. I forget about it, because as soon as you said, don't tell anybody, I'm not telling anybody. And then I get in trouble for not telling them. So weird. No, I'm just kidding. That's how it works, right? So I love this conversation, and I want to keep having this one with words. I think, yes, we didn't do as much back and like training part, but I think Amy and I will get on some really good ones, because I really want just another day to go away. Like, how you doing today? Oh, it's Monday. Oh, that one hurts me. It's like it drops you as a
Yeah.
doctor. You're like, yeah, I heard you. All right, let's get you adjusted. It's like that sucks. I don't know how to answer that, right?
Yeah.
Instead of, like that's why it's almost automatic. Like if I have somebody that's stuck in that pattern, I'll start talking to. I try to find stuff that you're passionate about so that I can talk about that stuff, right?
Yep.
So that I can reverse it. So because I'm not going to be like going in there, how's work today? If you don't like work, like why would I pick that? I go, how's those cars doing?
Yep.
I have a patient right now. We get him better, totally. That Corvette. So I might be taking a half day off just to let you know, because he's got a nice Corvette. I was like, oh, that thing's pretty. But that's what we talk about. Like he's in this bad situation. The situation's kind of like, oh, we got to get him there.
Yep.
It's kind of like that last thing, and we've done it, and we've gotten him almost there, man. I'm super pumped. So Corvette ride. Oh, that's why I did it. I would have just left it. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm gonna ask. So before we close out, I'll let Christy. Do you have anything tonight?
Jeremy, I just want to say I love your energy every time I see you.
Well, I appreciate that. That's
the term issue statement. Never realized what I was saying about my neck. I can't believe you called me out.
oh,
But I like,
you ever said that? I don't even know.
I'm always aimed at my neck. I probably say it's killing me. That's probably what I'm saying for the most part, but I love the way you use that, because you don't hear what you're saying subconsciously, what it's doing. So I really, really appreciate that. I appreciate you both a lot.
Yeah, and it's true. We'll sit down, and if it's thank you. But yeah, it's one of those cool things where if you start learning what I hear, because I get to it as a doctor, you get to set back, right? So I'm sitting listening to you at that moment, right? So it's not fair to think that you're going to know like what you're saying, because you have to say it, right? And then and also think you're hurting, right? So then that hurting starts a different pattern, right? So that's the trick of the whole thing. As people come in, we've had that many times, like the panic that comes with that type of pain. And so those are things as a doctor we kind of step back, say, okay, we're at a point where you say killing, right? So I don't break down that word on the first visit. We just go, right? And then in my hopes is we'll get it a little less than killing. We'll get it down to like achy, right? That's my goal, is to say, you said last time it was killing you. Now this time, what is it, right? So
you can call me out anytime.
You can remember that you said it, but you didn't mean it that way, obviously, right?
Exactly.
So
exactly.
And it happens with kids all the time too. You'll see it. I just can't, right? Like in a sport or those kind of things. Last it's it. No more. Can't go down that. I cannot run one more lap. No way, right? And then somehow, if you can kind of turn it, like in our play right now, I'm watching a guy kind of impressed. Like as a coach, you're seeing our local high school has a cross country, and I'm watching these kids and the passion these kids have. You can tell that's a reflection of what they've learned from this guy, and I can see it. Sometimes you see that, but it's a magic little thing when you find that coach that can like push it, and he gets results based on that, right? This guy's had he's probably going to have 3 or 4 Division I runners out of our little high school. So,
wow.
And it's fascinating as you go. So that was good. I'm hoping next week we'll have a surprise guest. I can't wait. So, that was my ultimate goal is a surprise guest next week. Next week is, I think it's some herbal stuff. We're going back into the herbs. And then me and Amy get to, that might be, we might just help them premiere what we've been watching, because that was spot on. Okay. So it's called, what is it called, Amy? It's called, because they can probably get it.
The Healing Kitchen.
The Healing Kitchen. So look up, Christy, especially look up the Healing Kitchen right now. You're going to actually, you'll get ahead of us a little bit. You'll see Dr. Low Dog in there. It's a documentary series. I think they're on episode 5 currently. Right
6.
now, 6 already. Dang it.
Okay, so I got to catch up.
Yeah. Well, and what's happening is you're going to have to pay for the series probably now. If you get on their email list, you'll get the episodes they're going to do now for free, and you can watch them for like a day. It's only like $90. It was like $90 for the whole series, I think, something like that. And they might break it down into different things. Worth it. $97.
Okay.
But I'm going to kind of display next week. We'll get into that beginning series that a lot of people didn't watch. But I'm out here hopefully to promote all these people. It's not just Dr. Low Dog. There's 10
Something like
chefs,
that. There's a lot.
nutritionists, some of the best in the country are on this thing. This guy does a phenomenal job of documentary. So remember Healing Kitchen. I'll try to put it on the Facebook chat room so that you guys remember it and you go back. So all right. Any other questions from you two? All right. Well, it was good talking. I'm excited about the word one. I can't wait to keep going on it too. It'll be fun. So it'll be awesome. Have a great night. And tomorrow, remember how good a day you're going to have, because
That's
tomorrow
right.
it's going to be a beautiful day. All right.
TGIM.
That's right.
That's right.
TGIM, baby.